Now we all know what Patrick Mahomes has done in his first few years in the league. He's been amazing. Dragged the Chiefs to multiple Super Bowls, won one of them, and he's showing no signs of slowing down. Now, of course, we all know about LeBron James, and the reason why I'm bringing him up is because a lot of people, including me, believe that he could go to almost any team in the league and take them to the playoffs. So it got me thinking, what if the best player in the NFL could do the same exact thing? If you want to get your account grinded all the way to the max level, or if you want players, you want coins, you want training, you know where to go, man. MutReserve.com. Use my code CK for 15% off your order, and I promise you'll be rich one day. Starting with the Chicago Bears, who are known for having a great defense. All they've been missing in the last 15, 20 years is a quarterback, and now they finally have one. Now the NFL is back in action, and so is winning season at MyBookie. With over $500,000 in contest prize money, winning season makes the big games better and the victories even sweeter. Head to mybookie.ag and choose from a variety of boosts, contests, and promotions up for grabs, highlighted by the crown jewel of winning season, the famed MyBookie Super Contest. It only costs $10 to enter. You pick 5 games against the spread each week, and each win earns you a point. And each point gets you closer to the grand prize. If you missed out on week 1, don't even worry about it, because entries are still open. And all it takes is one solid week to get you back in the mix. Don't just take my word for it. Join now and start your winning season with MyBookie today. In order to get you started, make your first deposit at mybookie.ag and use promo code CKBirds to instantly receive double your deposit. That's double your money to double your winnings with your first ever deposit using promo code CKBirds. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. He's 1 for 1. The Bears easily win the division. Mahomes has a pretty good season by his standards. 39-13 touchdown interception ratio. Bears offense was second in the NFL. Not only that, but he took them to the Super Bowl. Man, this dude is unbelievable. They're playing against the Steelers. This one kind of makes sense. I mean, the Steelers have a nasty front seven, one of the best in the league. But like I said, that Bears defense is disgusting. All they really needed was a quarterback, and you can see what someone like Mahomes could do. With a phenomenal defense around them, Steelers kept it close, but it just was not enough. Now we got him on the Cincinnati Bengals. We know this one's going to be a little bit more tough. Not because the Bengals don't have talent. I mean, they definitely have a lot of it on the offensive end. A lot of good players to throw to. He doesn't have an elite tight end, you know, so no more Kelsey. Defense not as good as the Bears, to be honest with you. D-line is actually pretty decent. Same with the secondary. You have elite safety and Jesse Bates, but it wasn't enough. They end up 8-9, third in their division. 2 games out of the playoffs. Really good touchdown interception ratio. Not the most yardage. The run game and Joe Mixon had something to do with that. Offense ended up 12th in the league, so at least, you know, upper half. But he's 1 for 2 so far. The Buffalo Bills should be a breeze. Come on now. They're already a playoff team. Josh Allen, really good quarterback. Mahomes slightly better. So this should be just a no-brainer playoff team. And they end up first in their division, 11-6 on the season. Another solid performance from Mahomes. 32 touchdowns, only 10 interceptions. Offense was 19th in the league, so they didn't do as good as I thought they would. Defense was amazing. Ooh, they lose in the AFC Championship game to the New England Patriots. Another very solid team. Mac Jones outplayed Mahomes. Kind of crazy, but yeah, it's still a solid game and a solid performance on the Bills. The Broncos fall into the category of the Bears, another team with an elite superstar defensive player in Von Miller and some solid pieces on offense. So I think Mahomes should definitely be able to drag them to the playoffs. And that's exactly what he did. They end up better than the Chiefs, but 1 game back of first place in their division. Lowest touchdowns we've seen from Mahomes so far in the video, but still, he got them to the playoffs, man. That's all you can really ask for. So he's 3 for 4. They end up losing to the Jaguars in the wild card round. Lawrence outplayed them. When I say I'll be shocked if the Browns don't make it with Mahomes at quarterback, this has to be one of the best rosters, top to bottom, in the entire NFL. Like, there's just zero chance they don't make it. It would be impossible. They win their division pretty easily, 14-3. One of the best records we've seen so far. He barely had over 3,000 yards because, you know, the Browns' rushing game is absolutely disgusting. 26 rushing touchdowns for Chubb. That's what happens when you have a Mahomes at quarterback. You can't stack the box, and someone like Chubb can go crazy. Offense was 4th in the NFL, and Chubb ends up 2nd in MVP voting. But it's Mahomes' old team that ends up in the Super Bowl to play against Jameis and the Saints. Browns made it to that divisional lost to the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Mahomes didn't have the best game. Chubb went crazy on the ground, but it just was not enough. We are on to the Buccaneers, the Super Bowl champions from last year. I mean, this is another no-brainer. It's not guaranteed that they made the playoffs. They end up tied for second in their division, 10-7. Okay, they made it. as the 6th seed. They did lose in round 1 to the Cowboys. I'm a little shocked they didn't do better, not just in the playoffs, but you know, during the regular season. And his old team makes it to the Super Bowl with Brady at quarterback. This has to be one of his best seasons so far. He did throw 19 interceptions, but that's the most pass touchdowns and yards he's thrown. Top 5 in both categories. Offense was 5th in the NFL. Most likely gonna keep the streak going on the Cardinals. Kyler is my pick to win MVP in real life this year. But of course, he's not gonna do it alone, man. He has a solid foundation around him. They got Hudson, of course, Nuke, AJ Green, Kirk at wide receiver. Defense, they added JJ Watt, so they're gonna be a playoff team, no question. 3-way tie at the top of the division, 11-6. I'm guessing they made the playoffs. Mahomes doesn't have the best season, actually one of the worst we've seen so far, but he took his team to the playoffs. That's really all that matters, man. The run game's going crazy. 9 touchdowns on the ground, never mind. Easily one of the best we've seen, man. 9 is unbelievable. That's the most I think I've ever seen from a quarterback. Offense was 22nd in the league. I guess it's the scheme, because you know Kyler does scramble a lot, so that might have had something to do with it. They ended up winning in the wild card round, but losing in the divisional round by 3 to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. This one should be an easy playoff team. Mahomes on the Chargers. You got an elite number 1 in Keenan. Eckler at running back. Solid tight end and Cook. Defense, they did lose Melvin Ingram, but you still have Bosa. You still have Linval. You got Derwin, one of the best safeties in the league. CHJ at cornerback. Yeah, they should make the playoffs. And that's exactly what they do. They end up 10-7. Second in the division. Mahomes' old team ends up last. And that's the best season he's had so far. 43 touchdowns, only 12 interceptions. Offense was 2nd in the league. And he ended up in the top 10 for MVP for the first time, I think, in the video. Their season ends in the divisional round. However, they lose by 3 to Lamar and the Ravens. But Chargers fans gotta be happy with this performance. Now, I think the Colts should be a shoo-in for the playoffs with Mahomes. One of the best running back groups in the NFL. They're wide receivers, though. You know, T.Y.'s injured in real life, so Pascal or Campbell or Pittman is their actual number 1 right now. Tight ends are pretty decent. O-line is really good, but I think it's their defense that's going to guarantee them a playoff berth. And even though they go 8-9, 3rd in their division, they still make the playoffs. Not only that, but they win a game against the Bills in the wild card round. Divisional round, they end up losing to Mahomes' old team. Carson Wentz takes them to the playoffs and beats his former team. Easily Mahomes' worst season individual-wise, but it was good enough to get them into the playoffs. Not only should they make the playoffs, but Mahomes on the Cowboys should probably make it almost to the Super Bowl. Not because I think the Cowboys are that good, but in Madden, they always make it, you know, deep in the playoffs. So now you add Mahomes, and I don't think there's any chance they don't at least get to like the conference championship. They end up winning their division, 12-5. I mean, that was a given. Mahomes has a phenomenal season. One of the better ones we've seen in the video so far. 39 touchdowns. Offense ended up top 5 in the league. Zeke ends up top 4 in MVP voting, but Dak ends up top 5 on the Chiefs. And would you look at that? The Chiefs and the Cowboys are in the Super Bowl. 3rd and 10 for Dak and the Chiefs. What can he do with Tyreek and Kelsey? Can he end up leading them to a W? Kelsey's actually going to stand in the block while he finds Tyreek for the touchdown and ties it up. Oh, Mahomes throws an interception on the very next possession. Dak on another 3rd down. Dropping back. He has Kelsey wide open top of the screen. Instead, he goes to Edwards-Helaire, who gets them the lead. Mahomes for the touchdown. Amari gets it this time. And here's Harrison Butker for the win. So Mahomes does take the Cowboys to the Super Bowl, but they end up losing. Still, solid effort. Dak on the Chiefs was just a little bit too good. Now, a couple Mads ago, the Dolphins had one of the worst rosters in the game, but they've improved it quite a lot, man. They drafted Jalen Waddle. They got Fuller now to pair with Devontae. Gesicki's one of the better tight ends in the NFL. Secondary is one of the best in the league with McCourty, Howard, Byron Jones. So they could end up a playoff team, man, but it's going to be tough. This is one of Mahomes' biggest tests so far. They end up going 7-10, 2nd in the division, but he did not make the playoffs. That's the 2nd time in the video he wasn't able to. He had a decent season though, so I don't want to pin it all on him. 32-12 touchdown interception ratio. Offense was 27th in the NFL. That's the lowest so far. So that's 9 of 11 for Mahomes. Mahomes on the Eagles. Phenomenal offensive line. Solid defense too. Man, this one should be a no-brainer playoff team. Okay, maybe not no-brainer, but we'll see if 8-9 and 3rd in the division was enough for the playoffs. It was not. Panthers take the 7th seed. So that's back-to-back teams where Mahomes was not able to make them a playoff team, even though he had an amazing individual season. Offense was top 6 in the NFL, so this falls on the defense, which ended up 13th. So I'm guessing they just lost a lot of close games. Can Mahomes bounce back in ATL with Mike Davis, Cordarrelle Patterson as his running backs? A nice, solid number 1 wide receiver in Ridley. A guy who has X Factor now, end of the season, Kyle Pitts. And a defense that actually has some pretty big names. Let's see what he was able to do. How about first in his division, ahead of Tom Brady and the Buccaneers? He finished top 4 in passing touchdowns and passing yards. The offense finished 4th. Defense finished 1st. Yeah, this is easily one of his best seasons. I don't know what it is, man. They lost Julio. So I thought he would struggle just a little bit, but combined for 44 total touchdowns. Ended up number 8 in the MVP conversation. But their run ended in the NFC Championship game, 49-7. I told you, the Cowboys, they always go deep in these simulations, man. He threw 3 interceptions, but I'm sure the Falcons would gladly take this deep playoff run. We got him on the football team now, who actually has an underrated offense, man. Scary Terry had one of the best catches I've seen this season. Gibson, very solid running back. One of the best D-lines in the entire NFL. So I think he should be able to take this team to the playoffs. So they don't win the division, but they do go 12-5, which was good enough to make the playoffs. Jesus, Mahomes ends up top 10 in all 3 categories. 45-7 touchdown interception ratio, 71% completion percentage, just under 4,000 yards. He had 2 rushing touchdowns to go along with it. Gibson was doing his thing on the ground. Offense was 5th in the NFL, and Mahomes ends up number 4 in MVP voting, the highest all video. They win their wildcard game versus the Packers, but then lose in divisional round to the Saints. Still a very, very solid season by Mahomes. Mahomes on the Niners, a team that was just in the Super Bowl a couple seasons ago. When healthy, that's where I expect them to be in this simulation. Not only did they make the playoffs, but they damn near went undefeated. 43-3 touchdown interception ratio. One of the best I've ever seen. Run game was doing really well. Offense in general ended up 1st in the entire NFL. Mahomes gets 9th in MVP voting, but they end up losing to the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game. Now, Giants have made some amazing additions in the offseason, man. They have Kenny G, the youngster Kadarius Toney, I like him a lot. Saquon's healthy. Ingram and Rudolph, solid tight end tandem. I'm a little worried about their offensive line. I don't know if that'll be good enough, but maybe Mahomes can overcome it and take them to the playoffs. Well, at least they ended up 2nd in the division, but they only went 6-11. Even Mahomes couldn't overcome a bad offensive line. I mean, look at their top 3 needs, all O-line. I say this was a pretty average individual season for him as well. 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Offense was 11th, so it wasn't that bad. Now he's going to try to take a rebuilding team in Jacksonville to the playoffs, who have a nasty running back core. Pretty solid wide receiver core with Jones, Chenault, Chark, but the AFC is tough. I don't know if he'll be able to do it. Jaguars end up a respectable 8-9, but was it enough for the playoffs? No, it was not. The Bengals end up with the 7th seed in the AFC. Browns end up the 6th seed, so yeah, it was just a little too crowded. Another solid season for Mahomes though, individual wise. Offense ended up top half of the league, so it wasn't all bad. On to the New York Jets. We've had 2 teams in a row Mahomes couldn't take to the playoffs. Will this be 3 in a row? Hopefully not, man. Crowder, Corey Davis at wide receiver. Defense has solid players, but they're 77 overall. I don't know if that's going to be good enough. I didn't think they'd make the playoffs, but 5-12. Mahomes did his thing though. 36 touchdowns. He did throw 18 interceptions. Offense was 21st in the NFL. That's not the lowest in the video, so I'm a little worried about the Lions, man. It might be 4 in a row where Mahomes cannot take the team to the playoffs. I just don't know if they have enough at wide receiver. I mean, Hockenson, very solid tight end. O-line's actually pretty good. Defense, no guys with superstar better. They're worse overall than the Jets. It's gonna be tough. Just about what I was expecting. 7-10, 3rd in their division. Offense ended up 6th in the league. Mahomes actually did pretty well though. Over 4,000 yards, 32-11 touchdown interception ratio. So it honestly could have been worse. All right, I can almost guarantee it won't be 5 in a row because now he's on the Packers, who didn't have the best week 1 in the NFL, probably one of the worst, but they still have one of the most talented rosters top to bottom. So this should be an easy playoffs for Mahomes and company. Easy first place in the division, 13-4. Mahomes ends up top 7 in all 3 major categories. Offense ends up 3rd. This is easy a top 5 season, maybe even top 3. 42 touchdowns, only 5 INTs. He gets 4th in MVP voting. So far, he hasn't been in the top 3. And they lose in the divisional round, even though they had the first round bye. guy. Matty Ice was just too much for him. Now you could argue the O-line might not be good enough on the Panthers, you know, the tight end, but you have two really good wide receivers in Anderson and DJ Moore. You have arguably the best running back in the league in Christian McCaffrey. Defense is solid, you know, superstar Brian Burns, almost the 80 overall. I feel like, you know, end of the year with all the upgrades, I think they'll easily be in the low 80s. So I think Mahomes can take them to the playoffs. What did I say, man? Panthers make it. They have a better record than the Buccaneers, 11-6, second in the division. Phenomenal season by Mahomes. Offense was first in the NFL. Yeah, that's about what I was expecting. I'm pretty sure that's the most touchdowns we've seen him throw. McCaffrey still had a solid season as well. So much so that he ends up third in MVP voting. Mahomes ends up number 8. And they get all the way to the NFC Championship game where they barely lose to the Packers. Mahomes' old team makes it all the way to the Super Bowl. Rodgers is just a little bit better. 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. Disgusting. Now we get to see what happens if Belichick and Mahomes we're on the same sidelines. Now, he doesn't have an amazing receiver core. I like Aguilar a lot, but he ain't no Tyreek Hill, okay? Tight ends are actually pretty nasty, though. John New, Hunter Henry. O-line, one of the best in the league. Defense, one of the best in the league. Yeah, they should easily make the playoffs. What? 7-10 last in their division. I can't believe it. So the offense just was not good enough. 20th in the league. One of Mahomes' worst seasons stat-wise. But I guess he just needed a little bit more help at, wide receiver. Mahomes on the Raiders should easily make the playoffs. He has an elite tight end. Darren Waller looked unbelievable in week 1. Now, they're only at 79 overall, but they should be low 80s by the end of the season. I see them squeaking into the wild card. So they end up going above 500, 9-8 on the season. And it was good enough for the playoffs. They lose in the wild card round, 28-20 to Mac Jones and the Patriots, but still, he got them there. And he did it with the 5th ranked offense in the league. Through the 4th most passing yards, 34 touchdowns, only 13 interceptions. Now we have Mahomes with McVay in the Los Angeles Rams. Very, very good receiving core. D-Jax as his deep threat. One of the better defenses he's going to be playing with. So I think this is another easy playoffs. In one of the toughest divisions, Mahomes and the Rams come out on top, 12-5. Offense was 13th in the league. He didn't have the most passing yards, barely over 3,000, but still very good touchdown interception ratio. Sony Michel had 21 touchdowns, but none of the Rams were in the conversation for MVP. And they get first rounded by the Eagles, 33-10. Now he takes Lamar's place on the Ravens, a team that's been decimated by injuries. Really feel bad for them, but in this simulation, everyone's healthy. He has an elite tight end in Mark Andrews, solid wide receivers. Defense is really good, so yeah, this should be an easy playoffs. Tied for the 2nd best record we've seen in the video, 14-3, first in their division. Offense ends up 4th in the NFL. Mahomes doesn't have the best season by his standards, but it was still pretty good. That's because the rushing game was doing so well. Mahomes had 800 yards on the ground. That's definitely, because of the playbook. They asked Lamar to do a lot of scrambling, so I could definitely see that happening. They end up losing their first game in the divisional round to the Cleveland Browns by 2 scores. Baker just went crazy. Now Mahomes is headed to New Orleans. 3 guys that have X factors on offense. Another easy playoff team. I mean, they have one of the best teams top to bottom. You saw what they did in real life in week 1. And now they get a better quarterback. Ooh, they don't win the division. They end up 2nd at 9-8. Was it good enough for the playoffs? Yes, it was. Not only that, but they end up winning 2 playoff games. One versus Brady, one versus Rodgers. They lost to the Cardinals in the championship round. Ooh, offense was top 10 in the league. Ooh, Mahomes threw the most interceptions we've seen in the video so far. Kamara went crazy on the ground, though. And now we get to see Mahomes in Seattle, a team that Russell Wilson has been taken to the playoffs. And sometimes you're like, how did he do that? So I think Mahomes should be able to make it happen. In one of the toughest divisions in the league, he ends up taking the Seahawks to first place. Offense was 17th in the league. He threw over 30 touchdowns, over 3,300 yards, and actually won multiple games in the playoffs until they got to Brady and the Bucks in the NFC Championship game. Still very, very solid performance. Now he gets to play under Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, a roster that started 11-0 last year. Now they add Najee Harris. Still got a nice wide receiver core. Ebron at tight end. O-line's pretty good. Defense, you have one of the best players in the league. And then a lot of really good players around them. So this should be a no-brainer. AFC North is unbelievable. All 4 teams had 10+ wins. Mahomes and the Steelers ended up 4th in the division. But it was good enough for the playoffs, baby. The streak continues. Not only that, but they made it all the way to the AFC Championship game. Of course, an AFC North team had to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl in the simulation. Offense ends up top 10. Mahomes has a pretty good season. I say it's in the upper half of the seasons we've seen from him in this video. And his teammate Najee ends up in the top 10 for MVP. Now, can he take the Texans to the playoffs? This is another big test for him. He does have a really good wide receiver, and Brandon Cooks' defense is pretty solid, but they're 77 overall. It's gonna be tough. This is something only a Mahomes or Mahomes caliber player can do. The Texans went 10-7 and they made the playoffs. Now, granted, they lost to Mahomes' old team, but still, he did his thing during the regular season. Yeah, this is why I did this experiment, to see if he could carry teams like this. And yeah, he did exactly that. Now we got him in Tennessee. Okay, I see it's going the same way it went with the Panthers. Easy playoff berth when you play one of the best running backs in the league. Phenomenal wide receiver duo. No surprise here. They end up first in their division, 12-5. Offense is first in the league. I don't know why I'm surprised. I mean, you had the best quarterback, debatably the best running back. Like, that should be no shocker at all. Mahomes had a decent season, not amazing. Henry gets second in MVP voting behind McCaffrey, and they end up losing in the wild card round to the Ravens. And last but not least, the Minnesota Vikings. Just so many great pieces on this offense. This should be one of the better seasons. I mean, you have an elite running back, phenomenal wide receiver duo, young up-and-coming tight end. Defense is disgusting. Yeah, I don't see how they don't make it. Another team that Mahomes was able to take to the playoffs. They end up 7th in the league in offense. Mahomes didn't pass for the most yards, but he had a really good touchdown and interception ratio. I'm guessing Dalvin took a lot of the yards, and that's exactly what happened. He ended up 4th in MVP voting. And Mahomes ends off the video by making it to the Super Bowl against the Texans, and they end up winning 38-35. So you could argue his best performance was on the Vikings, but let's tally up the stats. Out of the 31 other teams in the NFL, Mahomes took all of them to the playoffs except for 8. Maybe I was expecting a little bit more from him. I thought he was going to go damn near 31 for 31, but nobody's perfect. Either way, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, destroy the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you on the next one.